Good afternoon, everyone, or evening, kind of already, and welcome to today's session. And today's session is another important aspect of Power BI parameters. These are some of the parts of Power BI that are sometimes not known by newbies, and they give a lot of value. They allow you to achieve a lot of the flexibility and dynamic things that companies always need in their reporting. So today we are fortunate to have Hakeem Hussain, who's very experienced. I'm going to tell us a bit about him later. So this session is brought to you by your BizEdge and MHS Analytics. Your BizEdge is a data analysis, training, financial modeling, Excel, Power BI, SQL, Power BI. I mentioned Power BI twice now. General data analysis tools, training and consulting firm, right? And we're based in Nigeria. We've been operating since 2014, so we've been there for a while. If you need to access some of our free resources, some maybe premium paid ones, I'm going to share this link where you can see some of our free resources. If you're doing the financial modeling exam, you can even use our free mock exam and free resources templates. So I'll share this. MHS Analytics are not American and a Canadian entity providing the same services but servicing the North American market and European market. So in case you have someone or you actually would to refer these are North American arm to your clients or company or friends, for sure, yes, I will share the link too. And so now to the main gist of why we are here. So today we've got Hakeem Hussain. He's a senior Power BI developer with First Bank Nigeria. He's got over 5 years of experience in this space. He's also a Microsoft certified trainer and he's got the Power BI certification too. I will share his LinkedIn connection link in the chat so you can connect with him. But right now, I'll hand over to him so that he gets all the time he needs to do his demo. And we're going to answer questions at the end. So as you have questions, put them in the chat. I will always pass them to him at the end. So don't feel like, you don't feel like you don't need to ask your questions. Ask them, but I will pass the questions to him at the end. So, Akim, I'm going to hand over to you now. Let me stop sharing my screen. To you.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon. For joining us from around the world.
Can you
Good
do
morning.
that adjustment to your headset that you did previously? Those
Okay.
you did. Okay. I think it's
Is
okay
it
again.
fine now? Is it
It
fine now?
wasn't as awesome as the last one, but yeah, I think we can. Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
go on.
Okay.
Hey,
How
I
about
think it's
now?
better now. Yeah, 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 yes. Now,
All right.
now it's good.
All right.
Go on. Yes.
So, good evening, everyone. And good morning to other people that will be joining us from anywhere around the world. My name is Hakeem, as you have introduced me earlier. I'm a Power BI, senior Power BI developer with First Bank Nigeria. Also a Microsoft certified trainer and a Microsoft certified Power BI data analyst. Okay, so in today's class, we're just going to be talking about parameters in Power BI. Okay, so let me share my screen so that we can jump into today's conversation. All right. So by the end of this class, this is what we want to be able to achieve, to be able to create a dynamic kind of top-end filter where when we select the number in a particular chart, we are able to streamline this our visual to show
Hi,
us.
Akim. Sorry for interrupting. I want to ask. So I am.
Yes.
What if maybe just want to do a quick check? Like, what if you use maybe like the PC mic? I just want to know maybe it might be different or because for
Okay.
some reason it looks as if like this one it will be clear, then it will not be clear. And I'm the only one that can talk. Participants are not able to really voice out. So What happens when you speak now? Let's see. Maybe we might be lucky that the temporal noise goes off.
So can you hear me now? Is it fine?
Yeah. This is looking more consistent. Yes, let's try this. Let's try this.
Okay. All right. So I guess this works then.
Yeah, this is
Ah,
much better. So I'm just why I'm concerned is because what about those who watch the recording? So I felt like let me just try and see whether the other alternative of the direct mic might be clearer. Yeah, this is
okay.
good. Sorry, your
All
screen
right.
is no longer being shared. So, but this is
Yeah.
great.
So
Thanks.
let's go back. Okay. All right. So yeah. So we're back here. So by the end of this session, we would all be able to, create this sort of dynamic top end filter where you can use parameters, where we use this parameter to streamline what we are giving to our users, right? Um, and we're also going to, be using the parameters as well to be able to do some sort of what if analysis, try to do some projections, right? And we're going to create all of these from scratch, okay? So this is also another type of parameter, another type of situation where we are using field parameters to both change our y-axis. So you can see that what I'm basically doing now is to slice my sales by region. I can switch that to category. I can switch that to sales team manager. And if I also want to go one step, I can, look at the year-on-year percentage growth as well. And I can also, slice that by these options that I have here. So without further ado, let's get straight into business. All right, so the data that we would be using for this session is basically our superstore data. Okay, so I'll go ahead and show you what my data model simply looks like. So this is my data model. So I have my location table, I have my product table, I have my salesperson dimension, my customer dimension, and I have my calendar table, and I have my fact table right here. So basically, I am working with a star schema kind of model. And just to give you a sneak peek into what the data looks like. So my date table is basically just a simple date table, nothing really extra. So I just have my date, my year, my quarter, my month name, my month number, which I'm using to sort my month name. I have my month year and I have my month year sort, which is what I basically use to sort my month year column. Okay. My customer table is just my customer ID, my customer name and segments. My location table is my location ID, has my location ID, the city, the state, the postal code, and the region. My product table, same thing. I have my product table right here that carries my product ID, product category, subcategory, and product name. I also have a salesperson table and I have my fact table. And all of these tables are connected to my fact table based on a one-to-many relationship. So what this simply means is that I have one location on my dimension table and I have a lot of that location. There are a lot of businesses that came from that location on my fact table. Same thing happens with my products. So I have one product on my product table, and we have sold many of that one product, which is why it is a one-to-many relationship. Okay, so I must also mention that there are two different kinds of ways you can work with parameters inside of Power BI Desktop. Okay, but for today's class, we are streamlining what we are going to be looking at into parameters in Power BI Desktop. Okay, so if you come inside Power Query, at the top of the screen here, there is also a kind of parameter that we are not looking at today. Maybe some other time we can discuss about that. But we're going to be looking at parameters from the Power BI desktop point of view and not Power Query. Okay, so the first kind of parameter, and how do I even create a parameter in the first place? Where do I find it? So to find the parameter, you come under the modeling tab and you see the parameter right here. Okay, so the parameter that we have, there are two types of parameters, as you can see. You have the numeric range, which allows you to create numbers, right? You can create a range of numbers and you can tell what the increment will be, like what we're going to be seeing in the demo very shortly. And you have the field parameters. So these are the two things that we're going to be exploring in this session. Okay, so let us start by, I want to start by creating a table where I want to write all our measures that we're going to be using in this session. So what I'm going to do, I will just come to enter data under my home tab right here. And for my table, I'm just going to say, I want to call this my measures. Okay, or I'll just call it measure table. And I'm going to click on load, nothing extra. I'm just going to click on load. Okay, so for the first demo that we want to create, the problem that we have is we have a list of customers, right? So let me create a table. I love working with table very much. So we have a list of customers. I'm going to come to my customer table and I will be working with the customer name. So these are our list of customers. And what we essentially want to achieve by the end of the day is we want to be able to filter these customers based on a certain criteria. Okay, so the criteria that we're going to use in this case, let us create it. So the first thing I want to do, the criteria I want to use to rank these customers is by the sales value. Okay, so for me to be able to create the sales value, I have to work with my measures. So let's look at my fact table. In my fact table, I have a sales column, I have a quantity column, and I have a unit price column. Okay, so whichever one you want to go by, I can do a quick sum. So what I'm going to do, that my measure table, I'll do a right click and I would say new measure. Okay, I'm going to call this my total sales. Okay, and simply I'm just going to say sum, my fact table, I just say sales, and I'm just going to hit enter on my keyboard. Once I hit enter, one thing I really like to do is this column one that you have here. I really don't like it. It tends to kind of confuse me sometimes. So I'll just delete it from my data model. Okay, so I have my total sales measure now. So if I drag my total sales measure into my canvas, this is now what I have. Okay, so this is now what I am going to have in my canvas. So Now, what I want to do is I want to create a ranking for these my customers and then see who has given me more sales. Okay. In order for me to do that, I need to write a rank measure. Okay. To write my rank measure, I'm just going to click on new measure. And I'm going to call this my ranking. Okay. To rank this, I'm going to use the rank X function. Okay, I'm going to use the rank X function. The rank X function is an iterator that allows me to be able to do a row by row calculation. Okay, and what do I want to rank? I want to rank my customers, right? So I want to rank the customers table, and I want to rank this my customers table, but if I go ahead and write my measure that way, I'm going to get a very weird response. So let's try that out. So if I do customers, which is the table that I want to work with, what is the expression that I want to use to rank these my customers? I'm going to use that our total sales measure that we just wrote. So I'm saying take the total sales for each customers, right? And then tell me who comes first. Now, I'm going to skip value and I'm going to say I want to order this in descending order. So descending order means I want to see first, second, and the progression that way. If I hit enter on my keyboard and I drag this formula inside my table. Now, what is happening here is because of row context, I'm sort of having what is happening behind the scene is that each customer is being evaluated against itself. So Aaron Bergman is being evaluated against Aaron Bergman. So that's why I'm getting a 1-1-1 progression like that. What I want to do instead is to say, don't rank against only Aaron. I want you to rank this against all the customers that you can see. So to do that, I need to introduce the all function. Okay. And when I introduce the all function, I now need to specify the column that I'm using. So since I'm using the customer name, I'm just going to call on the customer name, close my all function. And now when I hit enter on my keyboard, I'm going to sort this. I'm just going to click at the top here and sort it in descending order. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 based on the sales that we have made from each of these customers. Okay, so we still have kind of a little way to go. Now, the next thing I want to do is I only want to be able to filter. Don't forget what we want to achieve. What we want to achieve is when I select 4, I want to see only 4 customers. Okay, so that means I need to modify this my ranking to say when I select, if I select 4, I only want to see those top 4 customers. To do this, I'm going to come inside my ranking and I'm going to declare a variable. So I'm going to call this my underscore rank variable. Okay. Right. So I'm going to call this my underscore rank variable. And I'm going to simply write a return. I'm going to simply write a return statement. And in my return statement, I just want to write a simple if function. What is my if function? I'm going to say if the answer inside this my rank function, if my rank is less than or equal to, let's take 5, right? If it is less than or equal to 4, then what do I want to see? I want to see my total sales. If not, I don't want to see anything, right? So that's why I'm not, the next argument in the if function is returning false. Okay, so if I don't do anything, it just leaves it blank there. Okay, and I don't want it. I just want to keep it blank. Now, if I execute this function by enter on my keyboard, if I hit enter on my keyboard, you would see that right now I'm only going to see those top 4 customers. Okay, so currently this is returning those top 4 customers. Now we're almost there. The next thing I'm going to do is I will eliminate this my total sales measure. Okay, so I just want to keep these my top 4 customers. So what this simply means is if I come into my ranking, and I change this to 7 or I change this to 5. For example, if I hit enter on my keyboard, what I'm now going to see is going to be 5. So we are halfway through, right? What I need to do now is I'm going to change this into a chart. Okay, so let me use this chart right here. Okay, so right now we now have a chart that is going to also respond to whatever we use inside this our formula. So if I change this to 6, you see now that you're going to have 6 different customers inside this our chart. Now is where we are going to use our numeric range. Okay, so I'm going to come under my modeling tab and I'm going to say new parameter and I'm going to say my numeric range. I'm going to call this top N filter. So I'm going to call this top N. I'm going to call this top N customers. Okay, I'm going to call this top N customers. I'm going to leave it as O number. My minimum number is going to be 1. The increment is going to be 1, and I'm going to set the default to 1 as well. If you scroll down here, you will see this called add slider to this page. Yes, I'm going to leave that checked, and I'm going to just click on create. Okay, so I have my numeric range right here. But currently, there's no interaction between these two things. And basically what I want is when I filter, when I drag this, my slider to 5, I only want to see 5 customers in this chart. I only want to see 5 customers in this chart. So to do this, I need to come back inside my ranking. And you can see that for every time that I want this, my chart to change in the number of customers that I want to return, what I'm basically doing with that is that I am encoding the numbers of customers that I want to return. Okay, so I have to find a way to make this number dynamic. Okay, now this number that is dynamic is going to come from my parameter. Now, if you look at on our data table right here, you see that this parameter has been created. So if I select the parameter table, you can see that a table has been generated for us. And in that table, we have a measure, right? We have a measure inside that table. So this measure is what we are going to go and replace that encoding number. And that is what is going to allow this chart to respond to whatever is selected inside our numeric range. Okay, so I'm going to come inside my ranking, and where this 6 exists, I'm going to take it out and I'm going to call on our parameters. So I'll say top N, and you see, I can see that measure right there. This calculator icon represents a measure. So once I do this and I hit enter on my keyboard, look at what happens right now. You see everything is now filtering accordingly. So when I select this, I'm going to keep that 7. When I select 9, it's going there. When I take it up or I take it down, everything now works accordingly. Okay, so every other thing that is left to achieve what we have in this diagram is just a to achieve what we have here is just a thing of formatting. So let's go ahead and do some little formatting to this chart. the first thing that I'm going to do in terms of formatting is my I'm going to turn off my x-axis title. So this title, I'm going to turn it off. I'm also going to come to my y-axis and turn off my title as well. Then I don't like this color, it's too light for me. So I'm going to come to my bars. I'm going to come and look for my bars. Where I have column here, and I'm going to change that column to a subtle color like this. Okay. One other thing is I want to maintain the background of my report page. So I can come to size and style and I can turn off my background. Okay. Yeah. One other thing that I want to do is that I want a situation where whatever is selected in this my slider, I want that to be the title of my chart. So what do I mean? I want the title of my chart to also be dynamic, showing the number of customers that is currently existing in this my chart. To do that, I'm going to create a measure. Okay, but before I do that, I need to turn on data label so that I can see the numbers. I don't have to hover on anything to see. I want to be able to see those numbers. Okay, so let's keep it this way. All right, so to create that, we're just going to create a simple measure. I'm going to say new measure, and I'm going to call this measure title. Right? And to do this, I'm just going to say I want top. I'm going to say top. And I'll concatenate this with our measure for top end customers, so that whatever number is selected in that slider is going to show at the top of our chart. And I'm going to concatenate this with customers. So I'll put customers in a text. All right, I'll close and I will commit to this formula. So if I press enter on my keyboard, I will come into my title, and where I have this FX, it means I can conditionally format my title. So I'm going to select that FX, select field value, and then I can come and select my title measure, click OK. And right now you see that when I select 9, I see when I select 12 in my numeric range, I can see top 12 customers. However, something is fishy. You can see that everything is clustered together. So that means we need to come and make an adjustment inside this our measure. So what I'm going to do is I will add a space after this top, and I will add another space just before the customers here. Now, if I commit to this formula, everything is looking fine. And now I have my measure the way I want it to be. So just something else, a little formatting. I can make that really bold. I can increase the size if I want it. I love subtitles so much, right? It kind of give me more context into this. So I'll say, just for my customers, for my users to be aware, I'm ranking this based on, I can say, total sales. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to turn on my divider to create that demarcation right there. And I can increase the width a little. And we are here. Let me just turn off the background and keep everything the same. All right. So that is that with our first demo of the numeric range. You can see how we sort of created, this dynamic chart. When I select 13, you can see that I have the numbers of customers that I am selecting at the title of my chart, and users understand that this ranking is based on a total sales. And yeah, that's about it with our numeric range. Okay, so we're going to take it one step further. We're going to sort of use the numeric range to be able to do some future projections, right? And just to create some sort of context to this, right? So that we can understand what we are about to do next. What we want to do next is we have a sales value, right? But we want to know if we are able to scale our sales up to a certain threshold, right? What would be the outcome, right? More like a forecast. We're trying to see what would have been the outcome, or what can be the outcome of our sales. So if I'm selling 10 products, if I can scale my business to be selling 15 products, what is the expected value that I will get at the end of my business day or month? Okay, and that is where the what if analysis comes in. As a matter of fact, the field parameter in Power BI before now was even called the what if parameter, right? So let's go ahead and create this chart. Okay, so to create this chart, I'm going to use a line chart, because what I want to do is I want to see a trend, right? I want to see a trend. So I'm going to use a line chart to create this trend. Okay, so I'll select my line chart. I'll select my line chart. Sorry, can everyone hear me?
Yes, now we can. Yes, go on.
All right, all right. Okay, so I'm just going to create a line chart. Right, and to create this line chart, I'm going to come to my calendar table, and I'm going to use my month year column. Okay, so I want to see my month year column, and I want to create this chart based on our total sales, nothing technical, right? So you can see our trend over our business year. Okay, so let me take this a little bit down and expand this to the right a little. All right. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is I want to have, a card visual that shows me value, because I essentially don't want to cluster this my line chart with too many numbers. Okay, so I'm going to create a card visual. I'm going to create a card visual. I'm going to position this here at the top. I'll duplicate that card visual because I want to have two values. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate it. All right. So I'm going to take my total sales measure and put it inside here. Okay, and this is my total sales, 2.3 million for my total sales. Sorry, all right. So I have this right here. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I want a situation where I need to sort of be able to get what my target is going to be. To do this, I'm just going to go back to our modeling again, and I'm going to create another numeric range parameter. So I'll create a numeric range parameter, and this time around, I'm going to call this my target. Okay, I'm going to change the data type for this to be a decimal number, and my minimum value is going to be 0.01. 0.01 with an increment of 0.01 again. and then I want this, my maximum, to be 10, and the default value again, I want it to be 0.01. Okay, so what this simply means is that whenever I make an increment, remember when we used in the first example that we looked at, our increment was 1. So when I move from 1, it's going to be 2, 3, like that. Okay, so the same logic is what we are applying here. So I'm going to just create this. Okay, I'm going to create this, and I'm going to just add this at the top of my chart right here. Okay, I like everything kind of aligned. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to keep everything kind of aligned right there. And we are going to have to write a simple measure to help us calculate what our target sales is going to look like. Okay, and to do this, let's just simply write a simple measure. So write, and I'll call this my target. Say my target sales. Okay. All right, I'm going to use another iterator function, the SumX. Okay, and what do I want to do? I want to go to my fact table. Okay, I want to go to my fact table and select the sales column from my fact table. So SumX, I want to go to my fact table and select sales. Sorry, I'm just going to select my fact table, and I want to select that our total sales measure. I want to select that our total sales measure. And what do I want to do? I want to multiply that our total sales measure by the measure that we just got from this, our targets. Okay, remember that for every time you create a numeric range, it creates a table for you with a measure. So I'm going to call on that measure. I'm just going to call it target value. Okay, so once I do this and I close my SumX and I hit enter on my keyboard, I should be fine. So I'm going to drag this, my target sales, and I'm going to put it right here. So currently, when I take this up, this is what I get. All right, this is what I get. So we need to include that inside this our line chart. And to do that, we're just simply going to select our line charts and just add our target into our y-axis. So just take the target and drop it on our y-axis. And currently, you can see that it is kind of flat now. So if I increase this, as I'm increasing it, you can see that it's telling me that if we increase our sales by 1.8, this is what we are going to get, and it's kind of giving us that interaction that we expect. Okay, again, we are going to just basically do some formatting right here. I'm going to be kind of very fast now so that we can take the last example for the day. Okay, so this, I'm not going to do anything much. I'm just going to turn off my background. Here, I'm going to come here, turn off my category label. My title, I'm going to call this actual sales. Okay, actual sales. I will increase that a little bit, make it bold, and I will just turn off my I'll just turn off my background. Sorry. Come to size and style and turn my background off. Okay, I'll just take my once I'm done with this, I'll take my format painter because I'm a very lazy person. I'm just going to come and use the same formatting option right here. So here, I'm just going to call these targets. Just going to call these targets. And yes, one last thing. So the last thing is for us to just format this chart. I'm not going to do anything extra here. Keep the title as it is. I'm going to add a subtitle. I really like this subtitle thing. I'm going to just call this actual versus target. Actual versus target. And okay, just keep that subtool. Divider, make it a little bit, and then I'll select my chart again and I will just turn off the background. Okay. A little thing to do is come to my x-axis, turn off my title, come to my y-axis. I'm going to turn off my title as well, and I'm just going to keep that here. Now, if you look at what I have here, right? If you look at what I have displayed right here, you'll see that this what we have here doesn't look so much like it currently. So what I'm going to do is to just show you how I was able to take my legend and put it at the top of my chart right here. Okay, it's just a simple trick. Okay, so to do this, what I did was I just used Figma to sort of create like an image, and then I exported that image into Power BI. Okay, so how can you easily do that? So first thing I'm going to do is I will turn off my legend. So this one that is at the top here, this is called legend. I'll turn it off. Okay, so I'll keep my chart clean. And then what I'm going to do next is I will just open up Figma. And then you see that I created this from inside Figma. I just looked at the colors and then I selected the color based on that. But how can you achieve this in Figma? I just created a text box, right? Created a text box basically. And I call this actual, gave it some space, and then I called target. Once that was okay, what did I do? I created a circle, very small one, and I'm just going to put that right in the middle here. I hope it looks perfect like I did before. It's not a design class, we're just learning. Okay, so I'm just going to keep this way so that we don't waste much time. So I will just select this ellipse and then I can duplicate it. So I have another one right here. So when I drag this, I'm going to bring this to the left hand side right here. And all I need to do is just to change the color to fit what is in here. Okay. And once I did that, I just sort of, changed the name. I grouped everything together. Once I grouped it, I changed the name and then I exported it and brought it inside of Power BI. Okay, so because I've already done that before, I just wanted to show you how that was done. So I'm going to go to Insert, look at my image. Oh, don't worry. I'm going to come to my image and I will just select the one that I used before. So actual versus target. I'll import that. Then make that kind of very small. And I'm just going to position that right here. Okay, and that was how I was able to achieve the legend being at the top of my chart. And if I see that our line chart respects our numeric range as we are filtering our data. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to look at briefly is field parameters. Remember that when we selected parameters right here, we had two options. We had one for numeric range, and we had another one for fields. Okay, so now we want to look at fields. And what does the field allow you to do? Basically, it sort of creates a dynamic kind of chart for you, where you can, instead of you to create multiple charts, you can create one single chart and allow your users to be able to filter, their axes by themselves, slice by, and create, sort of interesting kind of charts. I must also mention that numeric field parameters are useful when users are going to be engaging your report in a situation where you want to do an export to PDF kind of thing. You cannot use field parameter in that context. You have to create those charts visually. Okay, so let's come here and let us create field parameters for our axis. All right, so what we basically want to do here is we're just going to create a simple bar chart. So I'm going to create a bar chart. Okay, just to show you what we intend to achieve at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, this is what we want to be able to achieve. So if you look at this, our y-axis right here, you see that when I choose this slice by, this changed to region. When I choose category, this is changing to category. When I choose sales team manager, this is changing to sales team manager. You can also see that currently I'm filtering by year-on-year percentage growth. So if I switch to sales, it also respects sales. So that's basically what we want to achieve at the end of this. So I'm going to switch back to my Power BI. And right now, I'm going to just create a simple bar chart with my total sales and my, okay, let's use region. Okay, and my region. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. Right, not to waste time, I'm just going to probably finish up all my formatting so that we can just wrap up from there. So for my formatting, same thing. I'm going to turn on my subtitle, and I'm going to call this, I'm just going to call this sales by region again, not to waste so much time, right? Turn on my divider, increase the width a little, and then I would come to my bars and then change my color to this. Okay. Yeah, you can choose between leaving this title or turning it off. I love to turn it off, but for now, let's just keep it there. Let me drag this to the side a little. And now what I want to do is I want to create this axis. I want to create this my y-axis, parameter. To do that, come under my modeling tab again, and I'm going to create a new field parameter. I'm going to call this slice by, so meaning that I want to be able to slice this my total sales by everything that is going to be inside this my field parameter. Okay, so what do I want to be able to slice it by? First, I want to be able to slice by so I want to slice by product category. I want to slice by sales team manager. What else? I want to slice by subcategory as well. And okay, so let's keep it this way for now. I'm just going to click on create. Okay, I'm going to click on create. Oh, All right. I'm just going to switch this, keep this to the right, and I'm going to reduce this a little. All right. So what I'm going to do and what I have noticed is that I want to maintain region, but I have missed region while I was, creating my field parameter. So I need to figure out a way to add region back inside of this slicer. And as a matter of fact, I want region to be the first item on this list. To do that, I'm just going to come into my data field right here. And I'm going to select this my field parameter. So it's called slice by. Okay, so you can see that this is the measure that is giving this particular output. Okay, so since I can see the measure, it means I can sort of override or add to what is currently in here. Okay, and remember, I want to add region. So I'm just going to come to the top here and copy this category. Going to copy it, and then I'm going to add a comma, and I'm just going to paste it. Okay, I'm going to paste it right there. So once I paste it, I'm going to come and change this category name. I will change that to region, and then I would come to this dim products, right? And I will replace it with my location. Okay, so I'm going to call this my dim location, and I'm going to select region. Now I'm going to have to reorder this number. So this is going to be 1. What happens is if I leave it as 0, nothing is going to happen. What the parameter is going to do is that it's going to try to order it in alphabetical order. So if the same number appears, it's going to just, order it in alphabetical order. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so if I hit enter, you can see that region is coming after C just before sales. But actually what I want is I want region to be the first in this my slice by. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to come and reorder this number. So I'll call this 1. I'll call this 2. And I will call this 3. Okay, and then I will just check this. And now you see the region is the first item here. So let me close this. So region is the first item, category, sales team manager, and this. Okay. So one last thing is this does not still affect this yet. And for me to be able to achieve this, I need to come and now connect them. Okay. To connect them, I'm going to eliminate the region from here, and I will expand my slice by and just drag this my slice by slicer into my y-axis. Okay, so once I do that, and now if I select category, see this changes. If I select sales team manager, this changes. If I select subcategory, this also changes, and I can see my chart that way. Okay, so if you also like, you can take it one step further to make your title dynamic like we did before, but let's just keep it really, really easy. One last thing is I'm going to create a new measure, and in this measure, I want to do a quick percentage calculation. So I'm just going to call this year-on-year percentage growth. Okay, so this is simple. I'm going to say I want to declare a variable for my current. I'm going to say variable for my current year. I'm just going to refer to my total sales measure. Okay, my total sales. And then I'm going to declare another variable for my previous year. And I'm going to call that, I'm going to use calculate. What do I want to calculate? I want to calculate my total sales. I'm going to say I want to go back date add. Okay, I want to go back 1 year. Okay, so I'm going to go to my calendar table. Okay, calendar table dates. Number of interval is -1, 1 year, and then I want to go back 1 year. Okay, close my date add, close my calculate. The next one is, I'm just going to call this check. Okay, so what do I want? What I want to do is I want to check, right, if any of them is blank. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to say take the current year, and I'm just going to use this to say my previous year. Okay, so that's going to give you a true false kind of statement. So I'm going to say return, and my return statement would be an if statement. So I'll say if my check is true, right? Oh, I knew I had spelled that wrongly. So if my check is true, ignore the spelling. Sorry. So I'm going to say only then do I want to divide my current year by my previous year. Okay. -1, and then I would close my if condition. Okay. So now I have a measure, and what I'm going to do is just to create my parameter so that this, my axis where I have total sales, can also change. I'm going to come here under modeling, new parameter, and I'm going to click on field parameter. What do I want? I want to call this my axis. Okay, my axis. And then I'm just going to select my total sales and my year-on-year growth. And then just click on create. Okay, click on create. And again, I'll come here, change this my total sales measure, and I will replace that with our axis. So replace that with our axis. Okay. Let me come and say total sales. I want this color. Year-on-year growth. I also want that color. All right. So I'm going to turn off my legend. And now if I select year-on-year sales, you see that this changes. So let me also turn on the data label so that you can see those values. Oh, I have not formatted my measure. So let me format it as percentage. And yeah, good. So you can see now, if I select total sales, this changes to total sales. And if I select this, this also changes. Every other thing is just an option of formatting. So from here, I can just turn on, single select so that one thing is always selected at a time. Okay. And that will just be all for our parameters. I hope I'm on time. I plan to finish early, but
Yeah, actually, like on time, we've got 1 more minute, so not a
okay.
worries.
All right.
But thanks a lot. It's better people understand things than we just rush them. So I like your more paced approach. Thanks. Any questions from anyone in the audience? Okay. All right. So if no questions, I forgot to share our speaker's contact. Let me just do that so you can reach out, you can connect with him and like follow him and get to hear more about the things he shares in this space. Let me just do that now. I completely forgot. Actually, I have it already. Okay. Connect to it. Yes. Then I also said I was going to give you access to some of our free resources. Let me just also share that. I had a phone call, so it made me forget access to our free resources. Okay, so so far no questions yet, but then there are two questions that we would like to ask you. They are not really directly related to your topic today, but we like to get this from all speakers that we have gotten. Okay, I see maybe someone might ask a relevant question to the topic. So, question one is, how did you get into the data analysis space? How did you get to where you are? Let me put it that way. What was your journey like?
Okay. So um it's it's kind of a funny story actually. I learned from a very notable person in the data analytics community, Ahmed Oilo. Yeah, Ahmed was having a training, I think one of his initial boot camp back in 2019, and I had the opportunity to just attend one of them, and I just fell in love with data analysis from there. And from there, it has just been, personal development here and there. And yeah, I sort of ventured into freelancing at some point in time where I was able to get a lot of experience working with some international clients and all of that. And last year, I just decided that I'm tired of freelancing. Let me just get into a more um, prominent environment. And I got an opportunity with First Bank, and here we are. Your mic is muted.
Thank you. So I'll just say what I said again, even if it might be out of sync. So, like, great,
Okay.
great. And as your background being aligned with data analysis, were you like from a related background, like school, undergraduate degrees, and previous things you've done? Were they related, or was it a big shift for you?
Yeah, it's kind of the thing is, I did a kind of technical course and I had a little bit of knowledge with Microsoft Excel. I finished in Cardinal Polytechnic, and I read Office Technology and Management. So we have a little bit of, using Microsoft Word, Excel, and all those stuff. But outside school, I'd always sort of, worked with Excel particularly. At the time, I think I got a project for Nigerian police back then in Kaduna, where we were just, working with some of their pension account and all of that. And yeah, I just felt like if I think back at it, I think I've started data analysis a long time.
Oh, all right. So you've been in it even before the official, like, going full into it. So the
Yes.
second question is, what advice do you have for people who, maybe they are that 2019 spot that made that complete switch that this is what you want to do. So if someone is at that spot now, what advice will you give them on how to go about it better than maybe you had gone about it, or like, or at least not to make a mistake, or how to properly navigate and become maybe in fewer number of years an expert like you are now?
So the what I always advise people is just become obsessed with it, right? Because for me, at the time, I just became really obsessed with data analysis. My YouTube was clouded. I'm always following Guy in the Cube. I attended this webinar a lot of time as at the
Yeah.
time, right? I attended this webinar a lot of time. I joined various online platforms. There was a time I stumbling upon webinars. I just went to go and join one Greek country webinar. I couldn't even understand
Understand what you're saying.
what they were saying, but it was just the obsession for me. I just see the link. Somebody is presenting on LinkedIn. I just click on it and register. So all those things I feel like sort of um kind of gave me that boost and confidence. And another thing again is you cannot take away studying from data analysis. As a matter of fact, I always tell people that for we in data analysis, any tech person, I feel like it is both a blessing and a curse, right? Why you yes, there's a lot of money there, but you cannot even sleep. If you take a month off from studying before you come back, there's a whole lot of gap that you've created for yourself, and before you know it, you're already lacking behind. For example, Power BI releases monthly updates every month. If you leave Power BI for a while, you just come back and discover that everything has changed completely, and you might not even know where to start from. So that's why I said, if it's something that you're obsessed with, I think I can say 365 days a year, there is no day that I don't even open my Power BI.
Wow, wow. I used to have he's still a friend anyway, just that we've not been in touch for a while. Also, the way he describes it is, if you leave it for 3 months, it will leave you for 2 years.
Yeah, so
Okay, cool. That's nice. But this is really a very nice way to put it. Maybe nice might not be the word, but a very frank way to put it. That it's you have to be certain that this is what you want to do and be all in. You have to pay that. It looks rosy when uh, you see people who are able to deliver on all these skills, but sometimes you don't know that there's a whole lot they are doing when you are sleeping. And so it's nice that you are bringing up that point that there's a lot of man hours that have to go into it. It's not just like you take a course and you're like, I did that course and I'm now good and I'll just be able to deliver and be like professional straight up. You no matter what you do in a structured environment, be it a course, read a book, do a boot camp, what you do afterwards matter a lot more. What are you now doing with that knowledge? So thanks for bringing that up. I think at this point we can bring this session to a close. So okay, someone is asking, how did you learn Figma? All right, maybe you want to answer.
okay, so like I said, it's just a personal thing. I think what prompted me to learn Figma was there was a time I was trying to improve my reporting, design skill, and I got to discover at that point that a lot of people use Figma to design, their report backgrounds. I was more familiar with PowerPoint as at the time, and PowerPoint is an excellent tool to design your report background and all of that. So that prompted me to go and learn Figma, and there is a whole lot of videos left and right there that you can use to learn Figma.
Okay, cool, cool. So thank you very much for today's session. Thank you for being generous with your knowledge and your experience and your advice. And it's been a wonderful one. I think some people had left, but at a point we were like 16 in the session. So maybe, people always have Sunday agendas, evening plans. So maybe they had left. But the good thing is we recorded it. So many people already know that they can go watch the parts they missed, and those who couldn't make today's session, they will watch. But thank you very, very much, and have a wonderful week ahead. And to everybody, thank you for being part of today's session, and we hope to see you another time. Thank you, Hakeem.
Yeah, bye.
Yes, bye.